Hello guys, you're welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be showing you how to cut and sew this beautiful style I'll be displaying on the screen right now. I'll be showing you step by step on how you can cut it. So the first thing I'm going to do is to mark out the person half length measurements, the person under bust measurements, the person bust point measurement. Can you see the style? So I'll be showing you how I'm going to cut this style. So without wasting much of our time, let's get into the tutorial. So after I measured the person half length measurements, I added 7 good inch to the person half length measurement. So I'm going to go ahead now and rule them out. I'm going to label them so that you will understand. So first thing I did was to measure the person bust point, the person under bust, the person half length, and I now added 7 inch because of the V shape at the down part. That's why I added 7 inch and sewing allowance. That's 7 inches for the V shape at the down part and sewing allowance. So let me just mark them out: the bust point, the under bust, the half length, and the full. Let's call this one the full length. Let's just say this is the full length. Are you getting it? So after you are done with this, the next thing we are going to do is to draft the shoulder measurement. So the shoulder we are working with today is the shoulder of 14 divided by 2 will give us 7 plus half inch as sewing allowance, then I'm going to go ahead and mark the same thing on all sides like so, just the way you see me doing in this video. After marking it like that, can you see? So after doing it this way, I'm going to get the midpoint of my armhole circumference. So I'll place it like so, then I'll fold it into 2 just to get the half of this. Then I'll rule it out. Then I'm going to come in with half of an inch. Not coming out, you are going in towards the body measurement like so, just the way you see me doing in this video. When you want to make your own, just follow this tutorial step by step guide. I'm explaining this way because of the beginners watching this tutorial. Are you getting it? So that is our basic body. So we are going to go ahead now and take our body measurement. The bust measurement plus 1 inch sewing allowance is okay. 1 inch sewing allowance is okay. The waist measurement plus the waist you are using divided by 4 plus 1 inch sewing allowance. Then to the down part of the dress, you are going to be using your hip measurement this time around. You are going to be using your hip measurement at the down part. Your hip measurement divided by 4 plus the same 1 inch sewing allowance. So we are going to go ahead now and connect all the lines together. We are going to connect the lines together like so. Can you see that? So you're going to connect your lines together like so. So after doing it this way, at the bust point area, come in at the bust point area just the way I come in right now. Come in with half or quarter of an inch. You can use half or you can use quarter of an inch. So just place your French cuff like so, the way I'm placing it. So before I first come in with half of an inch, then I'm going to reduce it to quarter of an inch now. Exactly, because I think there is like so. So can you see? Just take your French cuff or you can use your free hand just to connect like so, just the way you see me doing. Do it this way. I believe it will come out so fine. Can you see that? So after you are done with that, the next thing we are going to do is to measure out the neckline. So for the neckline, I'm using 3.5 by, you are using the full distance. You are going to use the full you are going to use your bust points just the way it is. So at this area, if you notice very well, you will notice that I supposed to draw this to the upper part of the armhole, like so. That's how we normally take our body measurements. So I just do that so that you won't be confused. So the next thing we are going to do now, at the neckline area, I mark out 3.5. I mark out 3.5, right? Then at the before I do anything at the shoulder neckline, let's move to this place. From the down part, this is how we are going to do the down part. From your half length, just come down like so. I hope you understand. From your half length, just come down like so. It's very simple, so that it will give you the V shape that you need. That is it. So that it will give you the V shape that you need. Then the next thing I'm going to do now is to cut it out like so. Just watch how you are going to cut it out. Just watch it so that you will not do mistake by the time you want to make your own. So I'm going to remove that. Now back to the neckline. If you are making your own, you can just do everything once and for all. I use 3.5. And I'm just going to go ahead like so. Can you see? Just like this. Mark it like so. Don't forget your shoulder slope. Don't forget to do your shoulder slope, because in this tutorial I forgot to do my shoulder slope. Though I'm going to do it during this before the end of this tutorial. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, but here can you see that I forget to do my shoulder slope here. So this is how it's going to look like after you cut it on the paper. The reason why you can cut it direct on your fabric, this thing that we cut, you can cut it directly on your fabric. The only reason why I cut it on the paper is so that we'll be able to see it. At the same time, your slash and spread that you want to do here, you'll be able to do it. But if you cut it first on the dress, you are going to cut it twice. You first use clothes to cut this one, then you are going to cut another one because of the pleats at the under bust area. So can you see what I did to one I cut at the shoulder part? So I just use slash and spread, just cut it just the way I cut it like so. You can measure 2.5 from the down part, 2.5, 1, 2.5, 1, 2.5, then you cut it like that and pin it down. So I'm using paper. I supposed to just cut it directly on the fabric, but I'm using paper so that you'll be able to understand what I'm doing. That's why I'm using this paper. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut it out on the paper. Can you see? So just cut it out like so. Just the way you see me doing. Cut it out like this. So after cutting it out, this is how it should look like. Then I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to remove the pin. This is how you are going to sew it. This is how you are going to sew it on your fabric. Though I'll be showing you how you are going to sew it, but still, let me show you how you will sew it on your So you're going to go ahead, let's go ahead and pin it just to see how it's going to look like. Can you see? So this is how it's going to look like after, this is paper, this is not fabric, so that's why it looks like that. So I'm going to remove my pin and go ahead and cut everything out on the fabric. So I'm going to cut all the paper out on the fabric one after the other. So the next thing I'm going to cut now is to cut the back piece. So I'm just going to draft a normal basic body. That's what I'm going to draft out. And another thing is that I'm going to mark out the half length, then I will add 7 inch, just like I did for the front piece. Any inch you add to the back front piece, that is what you are going to add to the back piece. So I'm going to add the same 7 inch that I added to the front piece. I will add it to the back piece as well. So then I will take the shoulder measurements, the waist measurements, the bust measurements. So let's quickly do that. So this is what we have. So just like I did for the front piece at this area, you are going to do it for the back piece, because the V shape is on both sides, is on the back and the front piece. So I'm going to do that. Then at this area, at this chest line area, I'm going to measure it. I don't just want to mark it out so that you will understand. So I'll just come down with 10 inch. You can come down with, I think I come down with 10.5. You can come down with any figure you like. You can decide to come down with 10. You can decide to come down with 9. You can decide to come down with 9.5. So I'm going to go ahead now and connect this like so. So I'll just connect it like so. Can you see? Because the back also have design, something like design of a thing there. So that's why I just have to like do it this way. Then now the same neckline 3.5 that we use for the front neckline, that's what I use for the wideness of the neckline, 3.5. So I'm going to use 3.5 by 1 for the back neckline, 3.5 by 1. Then for the front neckline, we use 3.5 by everything on the neck. Then don't forget your shoulder slope. So I'm going to do my shoulder slope. So after doing it this way, I'll go ahead, I'll cut it out. Then after cutting it out, I'll go ahead and cut it out on the fabric. So let's quickly do that. So I'm done cutting it out on the fabric. So the next thing I'm going to cut now is the down part of the gown, the one we are going to be using as pleating for the down part of the gown. And this material with me here is just 2.5 yards of this fabric. I have just 2.5 yards of this fabric, so I just fold it. I just fold the fabric like so. Can you see? This is it. So I just fold it. After folding it, I'm going to, the length I'm working with today is the length of 30. I'm working with the length measurement of 38. And don't forget that 38 that we need, we are going to minus, just watch how I'm going to minus it. 38. So we are going to minus 22. Why do we say 22? Is because we measure 15 plus 7, it will give us 22. Then I just mark out the person. Then I'm going to add 5 inch or 6 inch back, because you know you are going, the this thing will go up a little bit so that it will not be short. So what I did was to measure the person. I first minus 22, then I mark out the person full length, which is 37. I added 6 inch back, then I added 1 inch again, making I added 7. That 7 inch, I add it back to it, plus the sewing allowance. I add it back to it. Then I'm going to trim off this whitish something. I don't need it, so I trim that off. So I'm going to place it again on the fabric so that it will be enough for the pleating. I'm going to place it again so that it will be enough. So this is what I did. I now, after placing it on it, I place this just to know whether it's going to be enough for this. Then I noticed that it will not be enough, so I have to cut little out of this one. So I'm just going to cut little that will be enough for that one. Then I will use the remaining one for the pleats at the down parts. That is how I make it. So I'm just going to cut this piece out for the front pleats, that pleat at the front side. Then I'll place it back and I'll cut it like so. So this is what we are using for the pleating. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how I'm going to sew it and how the down part is going to be equal. I'll be showing you in this tutorial. So I'm going to cut the front pleating now. So I'm just folding the fabric into 2, then I'll place the paper on top of it and cut it out. So just like I said, I later cut out the shoulder slope. I said it. I said I didn't cut the shoulder slope when I was cutting the fabric, and I don't want to forget that, so I just cut it out like so. Just watch how I'm going to cut it. I later add to the paper again because I want the pleats to come out so fine. Don't worry, I'm going to show you the final result of this. Then I'm going to cut the back piece as well on the fabric. You know, this place, the back half length as well is, let me show you again, let me preview it. So because the back half length as well, it has design, so I just have to quickly do it that way. I just feel like the back design should come down. If you don't want your own to come down, just like I said, you can just make it a little bit short. And this is it. I'm just trying to pin it again so that you will see how it's going to look like when you are done. Another very important something is that I'm going to be using lining. I'll be using lining for this piece that I'm holding with the back piece as well. I'll be using lining. If you don't want to use lining, you can just use bias to turn that place that I'm touching. You can just use bias for that place. And this is it. This is my lining. I already cut the lining for it. Here is the lining. I cut lining for this one. I want to be using for the pleats and the down part. Just save. Just like I said earlier, that if you don't want to use lining, you can just use bias to turn that V shape, or you can just sew it tiny. But I just feel like I want to use lining for this. But if you don't want to use lining, just like I said, then this is the lining. So this is what we are going to do. I will advise you not to sew it this way. No, don't put the lining on top of it and sew it that way. Don't do it that way. First thing you need to do is to sew the ankara and the door face together. The ankara and the door face, sew it together like so. Then you are going to use the lining to turn it together so that your work will be very neat. I think that one is better. So this is it. So I'll go to the machine and I'm going to join it as like so. I'll go to the machine, I'll join it like so. I will join the lining too. You're going to join the lining as well. So I'll join the lining. Let me quickly go and do that, and I'll bring it back to show you guys what I have. This one, this particular one here, you are only turning the fish, the upper part. So this is it anyway. After I already stitch it together, can you see? This is what I have after stitching it together. So I'm going to place the lining, then I will now turn it with, I'm going to turn the neckline, the zip side, and the side. Then you turn the side. That's all you need to turn. Then after doing it that way, I'm going to iron it. After, so that means that this is where I'm going to end this tutorial right now. Then I'll be posting the part 2. That will be where I'll be finishing everything. That's where I'll bring it back after joining it. This is this one. I already turned it with lining. Can you see? This is it. I already turned it. This place, this exact place is the only place you are turning. Only that place you will turn it. The other place you will just stitch it down. So the next thing we are going to do is to take this one and pleat it all round it like so. You're going to pleat it round it like just the way I showed you earlier. That's how you are going to do it. So see you guys in the sewing parts, concluding parts. Bye.